Welcome back to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports. In the first segment, we talked about not even a rumor, just speculation of Dak Prescott going to the Miami Dolphins. And now we are going to talk about the recently released college football playoff schedule. Give me 1 second. So the schedule for the first ever 12-team college football playoff has been officially released. The expanded format marks a significant shift from the previous 4-team playoff, providing more opportunities for teams to compete for the national championship. The CFP announced the dates and times for all 11 games on Wednesday, setting the stage for a thrilling postseason. The playoff action kicks off with the first round games on Friday, December 20th and Saturday, December 21st. The opening game is scheduled for 8 p.m. Eastern on Friday, followed by 3 games on Saturday. The first 2 Saturday games, airing at noon and 4 p.m. Eastern, will be broadcast by TNT Sports, while ABC will cover the pre-time game at 8 p.m. Eastern as well as Friday's game. ESPN will handle the broadcast for the remaining games, beginning with the quarterfinals. The Fiesta Bowl kicks off at 7:30 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday, December 31st. New Year's Day will feature 3 quarterfinal games: the Peach Bowl at 1 p.m. Eastern, the Rose Bowl at 5 p.m. Eastern, and the Sugar Bowl at 8:45 p.m. Eastern. The semifinals are set to take place at the Orange Bowl and Cotton Bowl. The Orange Bowl is scheduled for Thursday, January 9th, and the Cotton Bowl will follow on Friday, January 10th. The grand finale, the national championship game, is slated for Monday, January 20th, a full month after the playoffs commence. The new 12-team format was decided upon after a decade of using a 4-team playoff system. The top 5 conference champions in the CFP rankings will automatically qualify, with the remaining 7 spots filled based on the rankings. The top 4 conference champions will receive byes into the quarterfinals. Teams ranked numbers 5 through 8 will host first-round games at their home stadiums. In a nod to tradition, conference champions will be assigned to a quarterfinal game based on long-standing affiliations. For instance, the SEC champion is likely to play in the Sugar Bowl, while the Big Ten champion will probably feature in the Rose Bowl. The national championship game on January 20th is notably later than the final game of the previous 4-team format, which saw Michigan triumph over Washington 34-13 on January 8th of this year. This expanded playoff not only extends the season, but also promises more excitement and competition as teams vie for the ultimate prize in college football.
All right. So, give me your thoughts on the game. I mean, on the playoffs here.
Well,
are you excited about it being a 4-team playoff? I mean, going away from that 4-team playoff.
I think it's going to definitely be interesting to see how it all works out in terms of the new system, because it's going to be new, so people are not going to be as used to it. You will have to figure out. Not figure out, but it's nice that the season is extended. That will be, it just gives people more chances to watch football. January, kind of a blah month. So we'll see.
Okay, and I'm going to give you my take. I love this. I absolutely love this. When I saw this, I was super excited. The only thing I don't like about the new college football playoffs, because to me, this is the first time it's actually going to give a true national champion. There's been so many times over the years where there's been, other teams that should have been contending for the national championship. And I'll give a great example of Georgia and Florida last year, Florida State. Both of those teams were arguably some of the best teams in the nation. But a committee decided they weren't good enough to make the playoffs. Now this is truer. You're having a 12 teams. The top 12 teams are actually competing for that national championship. The only thing I wanted to change is the first 4 games. Instead of having those at home, there's so many bowl games that are just worthless, absolutely worthless. Take 4 of those bowl games and make them matter. Make those bowl games first round games. So if you added 4 of the Alamo Bowl, I don't want to go Pop-Tart Bowl, but there's
Is there a Pop-Tart Bowl?
Yes, there is a Pop-Tart
Wow.
Bowl. There's so many of these other bowls. By adding them and making those first round games, I feel like it gives the bowl system what the big worry has always been. What with a larger playoff, what happens to the bowls? It kills the bowl season. Well, now if you by adding 4 additional bowls, that means there's 10 really important bowl games that matters, and it becomes part of that tradition that you want to make one of those 10 bowl games. It's going to be, everyone knows the important games. It's going to be the Peach Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl, the Rose Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, and the Orange Bowl. But if you added 4 extra bowls instead of having them home games, having them as a bowl game, I think that makes it more like those first round games are kind of like extensions of the regular season, which is kind of like, okay. Where making a bowl, it gives it that playoff feel. That's the only thing I didn't like about this, but as a whole, I absolutely love it. I'm excited that the traditional major bowls, like I said, the Orange Bowl, the Cotton Bowl, the Sugar Bowl, Peach Bowl, the Rose Bowl, and the Fiesta Bowls, they still matter. And then the national championship. I don't have a problem with the schedule. I would have loved to see the schedule push the entire season back, and the national championship game is on New Year's Day. That would have been amazing. But that's the only 2 problems that I had with this. It's gonna be exciting. I do agree that there's going to be some affiliations there where, that the Big Ten champion are going to end up traditionally in that Rose Bowl. That relationship has been going on for so long. The Sugar Bowl, which is in the South, that's going to be one of the SEC teams. So it's going to be, let's say, I don't quite know where Peach Bowl and then Fiesta Bowl, where they will end up, but you'll end up with the Big 12 and 1, and it'll be nice. I'm really excited about this. This is what I've been waiting on since I was a little kid. When I first started watching, there wasn't even.
Did you manifest this too?
Oh, I've been wanting this for since I was a little kid. Imagine this. That teams would play their season, then play their bowls, and then the coaches poll would vote for a national champion, and the AP poll would vote for a national champion, and that would be the national champion. And it'd be like, oh, that's horrible. Then they decided to do the BCS. And the BCS, they'd have 2 teams that would actually play. The coaches, the AP poll and coaches poll and computers would put the 2 top teams, who they think are the 2 top teams, in a game that would play. But there were other teams that were just as good that could have played in those games. So still didn't like it. Then the current format, where the top 4 teams, a little bit better, but finally they have this exactly the way it should be. 12 teams, 16 teams, doesn't matter. Now we have what I feel a true national champion. When it gets down to the end, the team, whether it's a 12 team or 16 team, anyone that can make it to a 12 team playoff, you can't question they are the best team in the country.
So,
Go ahead. What are you going to say?
This way makes more sense to me. I mean, it's not like I'm hugely knowledgeable about all the history of everything, but this makes more sense. It also seems to me to make the bowl games make more sense. I've always been someone that's like, oh, it's bowl season. I don't quite know what the point of the bowl games
it's
are.
Kind of like
it's nice for the teams that get to play in them, I guess. But
a lot of players don't even want to play in them because it's the end of the year, right, and they don't want to get injured. They don't want to hurt their draft stock because they're playing for nothing. Now,
that's my question.
If you're playing in the Rose Bowl, you're playing for the national championship. You know right away you're fighting for the national championship and moving on. That is, people are gonna play. They're gonna be excited about that Rose Bowl. I'm excited about this. The only thing is, like I said, those early games. That's I don't like that they're gonna be home games. I feel like if you've made the playoffs, no matter where it's at, you already have teams that are gonna get a bye. Why I think everyone should be playing on a neutral field. Give everyone a fair shot.
Makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So that for you is really the only drawback.
The only drawback. I'm totally excited about this.
Well, we will be talking about it, I am sure, and we'll see. I mean, we'll see how people react to it. Also, that's always interesting.
Oh, I think this is going to be huge. I think this is what's going to really put some serious interest in college football. College football will never be bigger than the NFL, but this is going to make college football our number 2 sport in America.
Well, change is constant in college football right now, and this seems
that is an understatement.
This seems to be a positive change, but we'll see how it's a little hard to keep up with all the changes sometimes. But hopefully, this one's a positive change, and we'll see how it literally plays out.
Because, like I said,
January.
Before we go, last year, Georgia did not get to defend the back-to-back national championship. Didn't get a chance to contend for the defend their championship. Florida State went undefeated, but wasn't able to make the playoffs. That doesn't happen ever again.
Right. Well, looking forward to it, and we will talk about that in a few months. So I'm sure we'll talk about it going up to those few months as well. Time for our second break of this episode. When we come back, we'll be talking about Duke and the SEC. You are tuned in to the Andrew Tate Show by GSMC Sports, and we will be right back.